While there's a lot of talk about the AFL Grand Final tomorrow, on Sunday the SANFL competition will have its biggest day of the year. When local AFL teams started up, some were worried the local competition would wither and die. But it's still going strong, and this year crowds were up by 5%. However, with the AFL clubs looking for a bigger share of the footy pie, many of the local clubs are worried about their future. Patrick Emmett has more.
If you use recent history as a guide, this weekend's grand final at Football Park is a David and Goliath battle. For the past decade, Central District has been the powerhouse of the SANFL. It will be Norwood's first grand final since 1999. And 7 years ago, it was almost extinct. Could the club have disappeared at that time?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, we were in real trouble. There was no doubt about that.
As the legs trained in front of their delirious fans this week, President Joe Tripodi talked about his club's comeback from the brink. He said there was a lot of hard work wooing sponsors and some tough financial decisions. But salvation really came a long way from their traditional homeland. Here on North East Road at Gillies Plains, the club found a new home for its pokies, and they now provide around 40% of its income.
Without that, we would not have been able to carry on. Yeah. I don't think there's any club that can survive without them.
It's no coincidence that its opponent this Sunday, Central's, has long enjoyed the fruits from the fruit machines in its very popular club rooms at Elizabeth. But even with that income, both clubs are saying times are very tough. Everyone assumes Central District is the powerhouse of the SANFL. Is that the case?
Not necessarily, Patrick. Everybody believes that to be the case, but our expenditure, particularly in the footy area, is pretty high, and so it's a hard grind, I've got to tell you. But certainly gaming does assist.
We only just get through. I mean, for instance, Port Magpies. I mean, they've got real problems ahead of them, and I don't think the other clubs are that far out of, struggling also.
But the competition itself is still going strong. Crowds for home and away games increased by more than 5% this year. League management says it was an outstanding result.
A couple of years ago we had difficult years for a number of reasons. Last year there was a $1.8 million turnaround last year and a $400,000 profit across the clubs last year, and I think you'll find this year that those results will be even better.
Part of the reason for the success is lights, so the clubs can play at night to avoid clashes with AFL games. West installed lights this year, and it's now hoped Glenelg South will follow.
West Adelaide obviously had their lights approved and put in place for round one this year. They finished up with a 51% increase in their crowds over the year, so that's a massive upside, and they've done a terrific job.
But all agree making money in the SANFL is still very tough, and the clubs are extremely worried about changes at the AFL level.
The fans have dressed themselves up.
Every year they get a dividend from the cash created by the Crows and the Power. Last financial year it was close to $500,000. But now there are negotiations for the AFL clubs to get a bigger slice of that financial pie.
It's a huge worry for all SANFL clubs. We're dependent on the league distribution, and their money's dependent on the success of Amy Stadium. So what deal they're doing with Adelaide Oval and what sort of money the SANFL gets out of it is unknown at this stage.
They say a cut in their funding would be a tragedy because their money is ploughed back into the local community, developing the footballers of the future. Joe Tripodi is worried the AFL wants more control over the Crows and Power.
Well, I think that they just want to take the 2 licences back. That's what they'll want. And destroy the SANFL.
And as for the move to Adelaide Oval, both Joe Tripodi and Chris Grant say they'll cooperate with any decision that's made, but they still need a lot of convincing.
Well, my view was always that we stay where we are, because I think we own that, and I think that's the better option. I don't still believe that Adelaide Oval's the right place.
Personally, I think a total new stadium would be the answer, but I don't really see too much wrong with AAMI Stadium.
But while the Dogs and the Legs might be friends when it comes to talking finance, on the field on Sunday, they say there'll be no favours for anyone.
Lower, tried to steady on his left foot. They came at him twice.
We've got a big contest on our hands, and Nord are a darn good side. They're the best run and carry side in the competition, so we're going to have to be at our best if we're going to get over the line.
And just before we go, the perennial question every frustrated opposition fan wants to ask Centrals.
Will the Gowans ever retire?
Well, we go through this every year, and I've got no idea, but I think, as usual, we'll sit down after the grand final and discuss it and see where we head from there.
Do you think it'll be a very bad day for the club if they do?
Oh, look, I think they've been a massive impact on the whole competition, not just our club. They're characters, and I think the comp needs characters, so they'll be a big loss the day they do give it away.